Hello, my friend, and welcome to Security Insecure, hosted by me, Johnny Seifert. This is a celebrity mental health podcast where I say it's okay to not be okay. And if you have the same mantra as me, whether you're watching or listening, leave a 5-star rating and a review. And let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay by clicking that subscribe button. Now, let me tell you about my guest today. My guest today joined Casa Amore on Love Island 2024, where she coupled up with last week's Security Insecure guest Trey Norman. So, she was a little devil on the show. She then had movie night. She came out the villa with a boy. I'm delighted to welcome to Security Insecure to continue her love story. It's Ellie Jackson. Hello, Ellie.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, thank you. I mean, what a week it's been for you. I spoke to Trey last week. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to take Ellie to this rooftop. You have your rooftop date." Then he goes, "I'm going to take her to an Italian." So where are we at on this love story? Because I'm loving this story at the moment.
So, if I'm being completely honest, we're just going with the flow. I feel like, I feel as a couple leaving the villa, there's a lot of pressure on the outside world to like kind of meet the public's expectations on sort of, this idea that they have of you both and everything. And we're just normal people at the end of the day. So we're just, doing normal things. We've seen each other this week. We had an event together we went to was the night before last, which was lovely, with all the other couples that were there. So that was really nice. But I think, him being in Doncaster, me being in Cardiff, it's kind of like we only really get to see each other when we're in London at the moment. But yeah, no, it's going good. It's going really good. I'm just trying not to put too much pressure on it all, because I feel like that's when things can just go downhill.
Well, let's break it down a bit because there's a couple of little bits in there. So, did you have that second date? Because he was going to take it James Bond style to an Italian. The wine on ice is what he said. Have you had that date yet?
No, we haven't had
Oh,
that yet.
oh, spoiler alert, that's what he was going to do. I will speak
Yeah.
to him after this and make sure he gets that date in the diary with you. But
Thank
being
you.
in Cardiff and Doncaster, and then obviously London, where a lot of things happen, how are you
Mhm.
finding that? Because back in the day, pre-Love Island, if you were talking to a guy, it'd been ideal that he was local to the area, that you're not doing long distance, but then also your life also isn't just all long distance. So schlapping from Cardiff to London back and forth all the time, how hard are you
Mhm.
finding that from a financial perspective, but also a mental health perspective, going like, do I have a life in London or is actually my life in Cardiff, and where do I fit into this world now?
It is hard. I've kind of always been familiar with sort of like London, sort of as a place of like living. My girls moved there. A couple of my girls have moved there. I used to travel there for work in my old job, so it's always been somewhere that I've thought about moving to. In my situation now, there's a little bit of added pressure to that thought, because a lot of the big brands, a lot of sort of the events and stuff that take places in London, so it's very hard to kind of feel like you have to sort of commute all the time. I guess when there's a lot of things that are going on in Wales, there's a lot of things going on in Cardiff, but it's sort of evaluating whether or not those events and those brands here are going to be as good as the ones that are being offered in London. So it is hard, and there is sort of added pressure at the moment to think about potentially moving. They're two different worlds, Cardiff and London, two completely different worlds. It's something that I just need to give a really good thought to and just sort of see what happens in terms of my journey now, post Love Island, and see sort of what's most sustainable, and whether the influence life is sustainable enough to move to London.
Well, it's really interesting at the moment. I don't know how much you follow the TV industry, but
Mm-hmm.
Cardiff has become a massive hub for the BBC, and so they've got this big BBC Wales centre. So Radio 2 have Orion and Wyn Evans there at 4 a.m. and there's a lot of other shows that are coming from Wales, and there's a big focus on moving things out of London. And so you're almost that big fish in a little pond, that there's not many influencers and reality stars that live in Wales. And obviously we had the valleys. So you could
Mm-hmm.
stay in there and something massive could happen, or you could come to London, almost get lost. And I think you're right when you talk about the influencer world, and you come off a show like Love Island, it doesn't matter if you've done it for a day, 5 days, a week. Everyone's kind of competing for the same deals, and everyone's competing for this new way of life that no one really understands what it is. And especially when you've done a show like Love Island and you've been part of Casa Amore rather than being an OG. How have you found coming off and going, well, look, I'm now on Instagram and here's how many followers I've now got since I've left the show. And what does that number actually correlate to?
So for me, it's like complete foreign territory. Like compared to the other Casa girls and some of the other girls in the main villa, they were influenced beforehand, so they're used to that world. So they had a better idea before they went in on what life was going to look like afterwards. Whereas me, I've just been chucked into the deep end. Haven't got a clue what's going on. Haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Haven't got a clue how the world works. Looking at the number, It doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, I know going in as a Casa girl, you're already kind of like, it's premeditated for you to be hated a little bit, I think, because you're stepping on people's toes. You know, there's people that back the strong couples already, and you're going in to try and like stir the pot. And so I think I knew that the number wasn't going to be overly high. I just think that's what comes with being a Casa girl, unless you make it to the final, which sort of puts me in a harder position really, because I have to work about 10 times harder to kind of get my profile up, get my name out there. It has been really hard, and I do think the way that, you know, there's sort of a narrative already in place, I think, for everyone that goes on the show. My narrative was, I think, essentially to go in and break Nicole and Kieran up, but, you know, I didn't actually want to do that when I was in there, and then there was a prompt by the producers and stuff for me to go in and cause chaos, when in reality I just wanted to sit down and have a nice conversation with Trey most days, but they force you to have these conversations with, not force you, but they prompt you to have these conversations with people. So I had an idea that I wouldn't be overly liked when I came out. So my number was reflective of that, I think. I was expecting it to be the number it was. It just makes it 10 times harder for me in the long run with kind of boosting my profile.
When did Love Island know that you knew Kieran from before?
So Love Island knew literally like a week before I went in that I knew Kieran.
So you already signed up to the show and then you're in holding, which means for those that don't know that you go out there and kind of every day they're asking you, right, who do you want to couple up with? Who do you want to couple up with? And then they decide when you're going to go in. And you might be in holding for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a month. But the idea is that obviously you're there to make an impact and you're there as part of an overall storyline. And so the OGs start out, they have their journey, and then you come in as bombshells or as Casa to kind of obviously turn heads, but to disrupt that narrative. How did you find, as Ellie Jackson, who signed up to a show like Love Island, that the role that you had to play and the character you had to play was this person that had to kind of separate the strongest couple of the show? And I'm not there for me. It's almost like I'm there as a pawn to their storyline rather than my own storyline.
It very much felt like that, I can't lie to you. So that's why I kind of didn't tell the producers until very later on, just because I didn't want my story and my character to be centered around someone else. I wanted to go in there for me, and I wanted to kind of show everyone, you know, what Ellie from Cardiff is like, you know, this bubbly, weird girl that, like, you know, makes people laugh and everything. And I don't feel like they showed any of that. I feel like it was very much edited to make me look, you know, causing arguments, That's how TV works at the end of the day. It wasn't ideal. And a lot of my family did say to me when I came home, you know, that's not the Ellie we know. Like, we were very confused watching you on there. There was certain times where we saw the Ellie come out when you were laughing and having a joke with the girls, but 90% of the time it was Ellie's in there to cause trouble. And yeah, it was a bit annoying. And, you know, I think I'm finding myself now coming out having to like prove myself almost. Like, a lot of people that come up to me that recognize me are like, oh, you tried to break up Kieran and Nicole, and then I have to stand there and go, it's not what I wanted to do. Like, you know, there's prompts and stuff. Like, it's a TV show. Please don't like take everything you see for face value. I feel like I'm having to defend myself, whereas other islanders won't have to do that when they come out. Other islanders are being seen for who they actually are. Their narrative was so much nicer than mine. I found that hard, but you know, it's done now, isn't it? And it's something that I'm just gonna have to get on with.
When you do Casa, that all happens, and yeah, there's prompts and whatever, and you can kind of still control that narrative and that conversation. But then it comes to movie night, and I think when we think about someone's exit, whether it's at the last party that Jessica Lynn performed at, where Connor left, it's either that moment or movie night moment that everyone remembers as kind of the defining moment. And so if we think about your exit, it was based around movie night, and movie night is edited in such a way to have the most controversy based on the clips that are shown and then the reaction to it. And I felt like in that episode, you were so vocal because that's the way it had been edited, that it was like, right, this is Ellie's go now, Ellie's go now, Ellie's go now. So when you look back at that experience and the edit, do you feel that that representation that they gave you, that character they gave you, has almost harmed you going forward? Or do you think, look, that was Love Island, people know the difference between reality TV and what actually happens, and I can now be Ellie Jackson and go forth rather than be Love Island's Ellie Jackson from movie night?
I'm trying to move forward as, you know, I'm Ellie Jackson, this is who I am, like, in real life, you know, portraying myself how I want to portray myself on my social media and podcasts and stuff, etc. But I think TV and Love Island especially has so much power over people, and people take it so seriously that I do think I'm still stuck in that narrative of me being essentially this drama queen that's stirring the pot for no reason and trying to get people in trouble. And I think movie night maybe was edited. I mean, I haven't personally watched much of it back because I just can't bring myself to, but I think from the clips I've seen, I do think it was edited in a way to sort of paint me in a little bit of a negative light, just to follow on from the storyline that they had from the start. But at the same time, I feel like they must have worked really hard to edit me in a bad light, because on movie night, I think, you know, the clip that was shown actually caught Kieran out when Kieran was calling me a liar about, you know, no, I never asked her to see me. I never asked her to come and see me. Da, 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 da. And then movie night, I think, showed him remembering he asked me to come and see him. So I don't know what they were trying to do there, but they kind of caught Kieran out, but were also trying to play me in a bad light. So yeah, whoever's edited it is gone with some form of narrative, and yeah, I'm not really sure what it is, but yeah, I'm finding myself just in the middle of trying to defend the character I actually am in real life, and also I'm having to deal with the backlash of the hate and everything that's come with having, you know, such a villainized role, I guess.
And what's happening to your mental health on that process? Because 22 years old, you're navigating your 20s, you're trying to work out who you are as Ellie, you've had a corporate job, you then go on a show like Love Island, that completely changes the way that some people are looking at you, and yet you want to stay authentic to you and think about why I'm in my 20s, this is the portrayal that I want to put out, and yet that's not being perceived the right way, and that was based on the TV rather than me. So mentally, what's that doing to your sense of identity and that sense of belonging to this world?
Yeah, in terms of, you know, my sense of identity, I think it's making me it has made me overthink a lot of things, you know, not only what the corporate world and what, you know, jobs are going to think about me moving forward. It's sort of made me think about, you know, what people in general, you know, maybe future people that I would have may had a connection with on the outside before going on Love Island, but now I've been on Love Island, am I tarnishing myself a little bit? Are they going to turn around and go, oh, well, she was made out to be, you know, a nasty person on there, I don't want to go anywhere near her? I've sort of overthought, you know, maybe whether it's impacted, you know, certain aspects of my life moving forward, and had I not gone on there, would it be different? I am trying to kind of listen to my family, who have said, you know, anyone with a brain cell is going to know that it's edited, and it's, you know, it's there's prompts, you know, it's a reality TV show. So they've encouraged me to think, you know, if anyone is going to believe that word for word and take that for face value, and that says a lot about them. But yeah, it has made me overthink sort of my future, and, you know, what people are going to think of me if I apply for a job, or if, you know, I attend even an event with other Love Islanders and other people that watch Love Island. You know, the first thing I think of is like, what do they think of me? Because what they've seen is not me. So yeah, I guess in terms of my mental health, I've just been in a state of just overthinking and feeling like I have to prove myself to people.
So what's your internal monologue doing to overcome that so you're not overthinking? So regardless of what everyone else is saying, what are you mentally doing for yourself? Is it journaling? Is it therapy? What are you doing to stop that noise in your head going on?
So I'm taking on the aftercare sessions from the psych team that Love Island offers afterwards. I think I've got 8 sessions left. I'm doing that. I think that's so important. There's a lovely lady on there that's sort of been with me throughout the whole journey. She came with and met me in my holding villa when I got dumped from the island, and we had a very in-depth in-person meeting. I was crying my eyes out. She was hugging me, being like this mum that I just didn't have because I couldn't see my family for a few days. So this lady has really helped me, and she's kind of made me sort of flip situations. So whenever I put a negative thought out there, or, you know, say that, you know, I'm not happy with anything or XYZ, she'll turn it on its head, and she'll be like, but have you looked at it from this light? So for example, when I've been in there, people have said, oh, you shouldn't have started on telling Nicole unnecessary details. She turns it on its head and says, but you were being a girl's girl. You should be proud, you know, that you are sort of volunteering information and demonstrating you're a girl's girl, and showing other girls across the UK, you know, what it means to have a girl's back in the villa, and be honest with her. And so she just always turns a situation around in a different light that I wouldn't think about looking at it from, which I think has helped massively. My mum says a lot of the things that my lady that does my psych meetings with tells me as well. So it kind of makes me think this is a generalized view. Like, this isn't just, you know, my psych person telling me this to make me feel better. Like, everyone's kind of got the same idea. So Yeah, I think I'm just kind of trying to look at things from a positive light. I've had hate comments, but I've also had lovely comments. So trying to focus more on those comments and all the positives I'm getting. And even just the lovely interactions I'm getting in person with people when I see them and they go, "Oh my God, like you're actually so lovely." Like I'm kind of just holding on to those comments a little bit more about, this is who I actually am. And if they're commenting on who I actually am, that means more than people who are commenting on who I'm not on the telly. So I'm kind of just going from that perspective and just kind of, using my psych appointments, speaking to my family, and just, focusing on the positives. That's how I'm coping at the moment.
And then away from Love Island, how are you finding navigating your 20s? So you came out of university, you then go, right, that was the university me. Now this is the Ellie that wants to see the world in my 20s. And obviously TV was a part of that journey. But how are you finding that switch between your teenage years and your 20s?
It's been quite hard. I'm someone that always wants more in life. Like I've always sort of grown up thinking like I just want to do more. Like I have something and I want to go that step further. Like I want to push myself. Me and the girls, we're all very similar, me and my friendship group, in the sense of we always want to kind of go with the idea of you only live once, throw yourself into the situation. And I think because I'm in my early 20s, I thought to myself, if not now, then when? Type thing. So I've kind of gone with that stance. I've never really struggled sort of in my 20s. I know a lot of people struggle, finding their way in their 20s and, the pressures of do they get a house or do they save up money for something else or what job are they going to get? Like, da, 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 da. I've never really struggled in that sense. I'm quite organised. I guess now it is a bit more of a struggle than it was before I went on Love Island. So I think navigating my 20s post Love Island is definitely going to be a little bit different than it was beforehand. But yeah, I'm sure it'll all be fine. I'm not stupid. I'm a smart girl, so I'll know what to do, when to do it, and how to do things as well.
But I know it's very, very recent and it's probably a hard question to answer, but do you think it's almost taking you a step back rather than forward doing Love Island in that process, in that journey, in that sense of you're finding out who you are and knowing yourself, being comfortable with yourself?
Maybe I've taken a step back just in terms of figuring out who I am and what I want to be. And maybe I feel like there is a slight delay now with what I want to do, because I'm having to take out that time to reevaluate everything. And I'm also using this time as like a time to reflect as well. Like I'm in this period now where I'm not employed by my old job. There's loads of opportunities being thrown at me. I'm in a completely different world now, surrounded by a completely different sphere of people. So I'm kind of embracing this time I have now to reflect and think, is there a different career path I would go down? Do I want to go into this full time? Can I go into this full time? Is it sustainable? So I'm just using this space as, I don't want to try and say I've had to take a step back, because that would just be thinking negatively, but I'm going to say I'm just in limbo. Like I'm just in a very reflective stage right now, but I don't want to let Love Island set me back at all. I do think everything happens for a reason, and I think for whatever reason I've gone on, it's going to help me in some way for my future. So yeah, that's the mindset I kind of want to go with at the moment.
Well, it's really interesting because a lot of people would be in that position, like you were, of having a corporate job and then going, right, I've got my salary and here's my monthly income, here's my wage slip, boom, money's in my account, blah, blah, blah. When you go on a live show like Love Island, you go, right, okay, I'm going to stop the bank account, basically having new money coming in. But I also know that I'm going to make way more money with influencer deals down the line. How are you finding that navigation of going kind of, no one is being responsible for me at the moment. I'm only responsible for myself. And the only money I've got is the money that I've saved. And yet that money wasn't supposed to be for playtime, it was supposed to be for a rainy day.
It's something I definitely thought about, as someone saving for a deposit for a house. I loved having that consistent income when I was in my old job. I like to look forward to the future. I like to sort of show that I've done something with my money. And I think that has been put on hold for now, because I'm not sure where I need to invest that money. It may be that I need to invest that money into, traveling down to London more often to get exposure, or, buying, I don't know, some form of new like technology or a new camera or like new clothes. Like I'm that sort of investing has been paused. So yeah, it is hard for me to sort of navigate where I'm going with it all. I think time will tell. I've reached out to past Love Islanders and kind of said, what was your experience like? And they did say it's very slow at the start. You don't get everything straight away. You don't get the brand straight away. You have to wait. You put yourself out there. They come to you, you reach out to them, but it does take time. I've only just come out of the villa. So Yeah, so I mean, I'm fortunate that I have saved. I'm fortunate that I've got, you know, really supportive family behind me. So it does put me in kind of a good position compared to maybe someone that, you know, wouldn't have that type of support. I don't know what they would do because I have kind of been thrown into the deep end. You know, if you weren't a good saver and you didn't have family support, I don't know what they would do because it is hard, and I'm lucky in that sense.
And you held up your wrist before, and you've got a V on it. Can you tell me about that tattoo and what it means for you?
Yeah, so this is a family tattoo. There's 5 people in my family, and obviously our surname's Jackson, so everyone goes around calling us the J5, Jackson 5, and all that. So all of us have the same tattoo. As soon as me and my brothers turned 18, we all got them done. My mum and dad had them done with me when I first turned 18. It means a lot, and to be fair, I'm quite glad that I've had it now because, you know, being in the villa, I'm such like a homebody. Like I love being at home. I was literally saying to my mum last night, because I've been in London for most of the week, I'm so happy that I'm home. Like I just feel so happy when I'm home. It was nice to just constantly look at that when I was in the villa. And like yourself, a lot of people were asking me what it meant because it is kind of just like a random tattoo. So it was nice that I was allowed to sort of talk about my family. I was being asked about my family. So yeah, it's really nice. It means a lot to me. And, you know, I'm really close to my family. We're all so tight as sort of a group, and, you know, everyone else knows that. So yeah, I'm just lucky that I've got a really good family and a good support system around me.
And final question for you, Ellie. When we think about the Jackson 5, how do you want that to be defined for the outsider? So for what they can see the Jacksons really are like, what do you want them to know?
I just want them to know that we're just like a crazy, fun family. We back everyone we see. We're such like a come on in, like, yeah, oh my god, no, we've got your back, we've got yours. Everyone else is our family. Like all my girls are my extended family. We're just so warm. That's just what I can say about us. We're so warm, and that was something I was conscious of, you know, carrying on in the villa because I am quite a warm person. A lot of people say when they're around me, they like Jess was saying it, Jessica S and Emma were both saying it in the villa, like we just feel so safe and warm around you. You're just like a warm person, and I don't feel like I was portrayed in that like on there, but that's who I am, and that's from my upbringing. We're very kind of like being taught to be very polite, warm, welcoming to everyone, be a lovely presence to be around. And I'd like to think I am, you know, in real life. So that's what I'd like everyone to think about my family as well. Just trying to really carry that on, and, you know, with anyone I meet, sort of go with that.
Oh, amazing. Well, my absolute thanks to Ellie Jackson for talking to me here on Skiddy. So if you love Love Island like I do, there's over 100 Love Islanders in the library right now telling their mental health stories. Next week, Samantha Kenny and Chris Taylor join me to talk about their Love Island journeys. If you've been watching or listening to Skiddy with me, Johnny Seifert, if you like what you heard, please leave a 5-star rating, click that subscribe button, tell a friend, and let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. On social media, on TikTok at Johnny Seifert92, on Instagram at Skiddy Podcast at Johnny Seifert, where you can find me. Where can people find you, Ellie?
They can find me on Instagram, elliejackson_x, and TikTok, elliejackson_555.
Amazing. And Security Insecure continues twice a week throughout the summer on Mondays and Fridays. So you've got double dosage of your favourite celebrities telling you it's okay to not be okay. I'm Johnny Seifert. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.